Do you know where shares are? Do you even understand the entire backend that goes into that process? Can you sell your shares? You received your dividend. This is also good. But the day you want to sell, Lincoln, I heard one of my friends say to me that, I bought my shares on my mobile app. And if I need my money or if I need to sell my shares, I'll go to the bank. I said, what will the bank do? He said, at least they'll produce wherever my shares are. And I just laughed because they will just send you back to the registrar. Hello, professionals, and welcome back to the Stealth Show. Remember, the goal is to break down money mindset and modern life without any of the boring bits. Do you remember those taglines that came up in 2024? Buy a slice of the orange, own a piece of the most profitable bank in Nigeria. We have a share for you. Access the future, and all of those plenty interesting things that every day you're going to work or wherever it is you are, your radio jingle everywhere is just buzzing. Every billboard on the road. You can imagine Lagosians. If you live in Lagos and you go through Third Mainland Bridge every day, you just see all the way. I'm sure you're wondering, or you even participated. You just knew that invest, buy, and I'm sure you bought. Some of you used your mobile apps, some of you used the other apps that were available. But do you know where shares are? Do you even understand the entire backend that goes into that process? Can you sell your shares? Like today, let's talk. If you want to sell those shares today, do you know how to? Do you remember seeing an email just after the offer that says something around provide your CHN number so that we can credit your shares to your CSCS account and those things were, and you're like, what's that again? Sorry, I didn't get that. That's why you should care about this conversation today, because I am here to break down the entire back end of what happened during that period for you. So let me explain to you what happened. CBN came out with a policy that banks should increase their money that they use to operate their businesses. Simple, right? Let me now say, it's not only CBN that can make a company want to raise capital. Just look at it as though it's a family unit where everybody just wants to expand their current livelihood, want to get a real estate and all of that. The back end of what happened after that buzz and people buying shares and stocks is different operators within that market, the capital market, came together to make something work. I'll quickly give you a list of some of the operators within the market. One of them is the financial advisor or the issuing house. We have the registrar, we have the stockbrokers, we have the solicitors, we have the auditors, we have the trustees, we have different people, right? And we have some other people that we call the self-regulatory organizations. You know, you can have a business and HR cannot do everything. Do you get? So each department within the organization have to arrange themselves and put themselves together. So that's like the second arm of what we'll be discussing in this episode. Wait, before you start getting confused, gather here. Let's talk. So let's look at it this way. You see that financial advisor / issuing house I had mentioned earlier. Let's look at that person as the father of the family. The father is in charge of planning, is in charge of organizing, and is in charge of setting the pace of what happens during that offer. He was the one that decided that, this our family, which is the company, needs to expand and all of that. So they are the ones that advises the company, which is the family, as to how much to issue the shares and at what point do they need to come to the market. The second one is the mother. The mother is the registrar. Who knows your birthday in your family? Who keeps all of your certificates? I'm just some people who say it's their daddy, but well, it's neither here nor there. Don't look at it that way, but just know that your mom is the one that knows the anniversary day. That one you cannot argue with. She keeps the anniversaries. She knows who comes into the house. She knows who goes out. She doesn't need to even be in the house to know. There's this native intelligence that she has. Do you understand? That's the work of the registrar. The registrar just knows who comes into the offer, who goes out of the register, because they are the record keepers. The third person I'll be looking at is that your big brother, who is like the street hustler. Those are the stockbrokers. You know, when you wanted to buy the slice, what you needed was probably a channel through which you could buy, right? Those channels acted as stockbrokers, but did not eradicate the place of the physical stockbrokers. So that your uncle just goes into the streets, also jama, he gets something done, and he's like the hype man. Come and buy. And he goes out there to help the family unit to get people to come and invest into the business. Do you understand? And we have this other person, the elder sister. You know, sisters can be very motherly in their instincts like that. The investment advisors, they are the ones that tell you, wait, don't go there yet. Don't go and see that boy yet though. You know, those people you can just confide in. It's just that in this case, is on money matters. They tell you, I think for this your volume of money, maybe you should do mutual funds. Let it grow a little, then you move it to. They are your advisors. And what we're doing today, even this knowledge that you are sharing, I'm just being that big auntie. And you know that your uncle that gives you unsolicited advice, that wants everything to be strict, very strict, and they tell you to work hard. Yes, that one. They are the solicitors. They are the ones that keep you out of trouble. You know, sometimes you have to run to them and say, hey, uncle, save. SOS alert. I have a friend that says, I call my uncles on SOS. They are all on SOS. So, you know that uncle that you call that, hey, come and review this thing. It's looking like we might enter trouble. They'll say, don't worry, I got you. I aligned. Nothing big. Those solicitors, the lawyers, yes, they tell you how to package the transaction. So they help that family unit, which is the company in this case, remember, to align the documents that they will be submitting for approvals to get the application done. The next set of people that I'll be talking about are the receiving bankers. Anti-banker. You know, you have those aunties. Do you envy them? You love how they dress. When you see your aunt that is a banker, you say, you go doff the hat now. Because they're always like well packaged. They help you collect all the monies. They help you arrange. So as people are subscribing, they're just giving them the money. They would arrange it, count it, and tell the company how much they already have. They give reports. And like that, they are in charge of the monies that are being collected for your family. You see this next set of people? You know the snitch of the family. The last born, that your last born, that will report to you when things are not okay. They are the most silent people in the household. I remember my last born. My last born watches us gist. He will just be there doing his own thing. But guess what? When it is time to reproduce that gist, my last born is there. You know those ones? I have them in my house. So your auditors are those last borns. They know everything that is going on. They know if your account is not balanced, if you are just capping. They would go and snitch on you. By the time they audit the account and they see that your financials is not as what you said it is. Do you understand? So they are also a part of the transaction so that they can ensure that you don't just collect family and friends money and you run away. You know, this is a lot of people now. You are collecting money from the entire public. So you cannot just run away with their money. And they have to also be able to know that the basis at which they are giving you the money is because you said, oh, you've done so well in the past. So they are trusting you based on that. The auditors are there to actually review what you said you have done in the past to be sure that you're not capping. There's another person, your grandma. the wisdom keeper. They are the trustees. Trustees are applicable in terms of bonds. So if you are raising a bond is a debt instrument. So they need a trustee. Why do we need that grandma in the house in this our family arrangement that we're doing? Is that in case anything goes wrong, you know, grandmas are those people that they have the wisdom. You just go and meet grandma. Grandma, this is what has happened. They just step in. They say, don't worry, I'll talk to your father. Who saved you? That time you stole a piece of meat from the pot. Your grandma, right? So the trustees actually are there to step in case a bond offer goes wrong. And then we have the landlord. That's the person that sets the house rules. That's the Nigerian exchange. Because it's his house you are living in, you know, or it's his house you want to move to. Either ways, he's setting the rules. They give the guidelines. In fact, they give the requirements for you to list on whichever board, at least on the Nigerian exchange, and it applies across board. So the NGX, Nigerian Exchange Group, is your house owner. So it decides the rules that applies in his house. And we have the Egbon Patapata, that one that is like the community watch. The Securities and Exchange Commission, their eyes is like this. You know when they say, I've got my eyes on you? That's what they do. They monitor, they are the ones that even give you your license to even start with. Do you understand? So they monitor the offer from the beginning, they approve it. They approve the price, they do everything. So they ensure that your offer is going in line with what has been planned. I hope I've been able to convince you that the entire people in your family can come together to help the family unit actually expand depending on what role you put them to play. And that is what happens on the back end of that own a slice, we have a share for you, and all of that has happened in 2024. The operators in the capital market are important to you because you need to know where you can sell your stocks from. Now you have bought, it's good. You received your dividend, this is also good. But the day you want to sell, Lincoln, I heard one of my friends say to me that, I bought my shares on my mobile app, and if I need my money or if I need to sell my shares, I'll go to the bank. I said, what will the bank do? He said, at least they'll produce wherever my shares are. And I just laughed because they will just send you back to the registrar, because that's the person that even keeps the record in the first place, to say, Oga registrar, I beg, let me check, is this person's name on the record? And then you go to them and you tell registrar, hey, registrar, I beg, let me sell my share. They look at you like, what are you talking about? No, we don't sell shares. Go to the stockbrokers. And the stockbroker says, okay, welcome home, my people. Oh yeah, these are the things that you need to do. Or registrar tells you that, oh, you didn't have a CSCS account since. Go and open a clearinghouse or provide your clearinghouse number, and you're looking lost. Like, what does that even mean? So let's quickly explain how the CSCS and that CHN number comes into the entire picture. You remember that the family now has raised capital, and all your extended family members and even friends and your church members and everybody, they have put money in your family unit, right? But how do you know who owns what? Do you just collect the certificate, the paper certificate, and go and put it? Did you even get anything paper this time around? I'm not sure you got. I'm sure your father, your mother, and all of those people have those papers back in the year, and I'm sure you've seen some of those things. But these days, nothing like that. So who holds everything? It is called the Central Securities Clearing System. That's the CSCS. They are the ones that hold these stocks in an electronic format, traceable, is not susceptible to theft. Even your uncle cannot come into the house and come and tear one sheet of paper and you say, hey, now my share certificate with that. Oh. So your shares and everything is sitting with this central depository, but you need something to identify your own. Because you didn't buy the entire, they said buy a slice, they didn't say buy the entire thing, because you can't even buy everything, right? So that your own slice, how do we know it belongs to you? That is why you need that family ID card, which is your CHN number. It's like a unique identifier to you that shows us, or that shows even you yourself and every other party in the transaction who what belongs to. So belongs to A has 500 units, and this is A's CHN number. Do you understand? So when next you go to your registrar and they ask you what is your CHN number, don't panic. Just say, oh, I've heard it somewhere before. That's my unique identifier. Look for it on your phone. And if you cannot find it, who provides it to you? You get to your stockbrokers. You say, okay, don't worry, I'll call my stockbroker. And in case you don't know who your stockbroker is because you used an application, Google is your friend. Just say, who is the stockbroker that is licensed that owns my application? So say for instance, you bought on Bamboo, you can check on Google, you see the actual stockbrokers that owns Bamboo. And you can ask the registrar. If they are kind enough, they tell you who it is. Hopefully you have a kind registrar. So let's quickly talk about the second segment of people within the capital market that are also important to you. So imagine you expect that HR should be the one keeping law, peace, order, and every other thing in between within the organization. Don't you think your HR staff by now will be lying on a sick bed because human beings are the most difficult to manage? Like, conversation for another day, right? But let's imagine that Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, is the only one trying to just struggle to manage. Do you know how many listed companies we have in Nigeria? And imagine other exchanges around the world as well. So what they did is, see, people cannot come and kill us. They now looked at it that we would establish some other institutions that they call the self-regulatory organizations. And that would mean that, see, department by department, you people should guard your affairs, Biko. They are like the team leads within the organization. So imagine that there is a finance department, for instance. They have a team lead. There is operations. Operations have head of operations. And like that, we just have those different roles within the organization. I'm going to quickly mention some of the self-regulatory organizations that we have within the capital markets, and then I would relate them to something relatable within your company that you can relate with, that you would use to remember, oh, this is what this person does within the capital market, right? Let's go. Number 1, FMDQ. Number 2, NASD, NASD. I think they call it NASD for short. Then we have ASHON and we have FMAN. Wait, don't worry. We would explain it. So let's take NGX as that your head of operations. He's the one charged with organizing the operations of the business, right? Because that is where the company comes to list. So as you are coming that you want to list on the exchange, the NGX already they are like self-regulated. So apart from SEC regulating them as an entity, they regulate the companies that are coming to the capital market. That's why we have a subsidiary of the Nigerian exchange called NGX Regulations. So their job is to be writing rules that guides the operations of a listed company. The next one I mentioned is FMDQ. FMDQ is like that your treasury manager that just helps to manage the portfolio. So they try to see that the debt or whatever bond, the instrument that you are bringing to the market is actually appropriate for what you're trying to do. They also try to regulate all the money decisions that are being made and ensure that they are appropriate both for the business and for the investors. The NASD is like a startup program. Do you understand? They are like an innovative organization within the market. They help organizations know what is right at every given point in time. So they like advise startups to say, okay, let's help you structure your transaction. Okay, they are more on the advisory side of things. They explain to you, okay, since you are still small, maybe you should come on this board. You can enter through NASD. From there, we will then list you on the main board and all of that. And when companies are also delisting from the main Nigerian exchange, maybe because they got smaller in terms of shareholder size and all of that, they can then be moved to NASD. It's like an incubator program. Yes, I think an incubator program explains it. Then we have the Ashon. So let's take Ashon as the head of sales because they are the ones that regulate the stockbrokers to ensure that whatever practice the stockbrokers are or sales agents, whatever practice they are doing is in line and it conforms with global best practices. So let's look at FMAN as your portfolio manager or your fund manager. They just ensure that the investment decisions and portfolio decisions align with what the corporate objective is in general. So that brings us to the end of operators, self-regulatory organizations within the capital markets. Next time you hear capital markets, you just be like, oh, that thing, I know everything, because of course you know your family now like the back of your palm. So you don't have a problem, right? Don't panic. Don't say, what is happening there? Capital markets. No. It's actually very simple. You know the operators. The last episode already talks about the instruments that are being issued. You know how listing happens. You know how subscriptions are being made. And you're like, yes, even me, I can teach you. I don't need to be a finance professional to know all these things. I've got to tell what. You see that one? That's why we're here. We got you. Anyways, until I see you on the next episode, remember to like, share, subscribe to this channel, because the wealth of wisdom you're going to be getting here is we're not capping, we're not yet to joke. See you again on the next episode. Bye.